You're listening to Groovy Ghoul, Episode 2 with Groovy Witch 666 and Joe Bob Briggs from the last drive-in.
I really hope this works.
It worked the first time? Worked the first time, right?
Yeah. First time. But I'm a little bit of a... I kind of have a little bit of a... I don't know what happened this last year. I'm like... Kind of like... feel like I'm getting Alzheimer's or something.
No.
A little forgetful. So how have you been? I'm so glad you guys started filming again during this quarantine. Like, that has been my highlight. And I look forward to it every week.
Doing the show?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, we figured out how to do it. We cobbled them together.
I think most people could have done it to figure out a way. It was like nothing. There's nothing like it's like Netflix. I think they're starting to put a few new things on, but like everywhere is just stale. So it's really awesome that you guys are doing it. And like,
yeah,
you're doing it in Jersey?
Yeah, we're doing it in Jersey. There was when COVID first happened, there was all these kind of rules that were imposed on productions by insurance companies, and you couldn't be in a state where they don't have a mask mandate, and there were other rules, like the states had to be under a certain number of people with COVID, and so we couldn't do it in Texas. We couldn't get cleared for Texas. No, I mean, Texas was fine with our being there, but insurance companies had certain rules, and so one of the places you could be is New Jersey. Now, it makes no sense because New Jersey had incredibly high rates of COVID.
I thought so too.
Yeah, I mean, it was like
weird.
It didn't have anything to do with reality. Nevertheless, that's where we ended up, and we were able to shoot some stuff out at Crystal Lake, so it was okay.
So you really far out there?
Yeah, pretty. Yeah, there are like rural parts of New Jersey.
No, I know. I've been there. I grew up like in Massachusetts, so I've been there, but
yeah. Although I went to the New Jersey State Fair one year, and they didn't have enough people to exhibit cows, and so they had to accept cows from southeastern New York State. so you could win the New Jersey State Fair blue ribbon with a New York cow, because I guess they're like running out of cows.
I went to my first state fair here not last year. Last year I think there was like some crazy shooting there or something. I think it was the year before I went. It was my first time ever.
Well, that's got to be a great state fair. Kentucky, right?
You know, I was a little disappointed.
Really? They didn't have giant pigs?
No, like, it was so weird. It was so weird. It was smaller than I thought it would be, and then all the animals were shoved inside, which just smelled like shit. Like, it was like I was gagging. I had to, like, run around real fast and get out of there. But
you mean livestock barns? They had livestock barns.
No, it wasn't
right?
really barn. It wasn't barns. No, they just, like, divvied up. They made these, like, little divvy up areas and put the animals in it. It's the convention center. They had it. And it wasn't a real barn or anything. But some of those people with those animals, like, were allowed to sleep over in that place with the animals. And it was just this stench I've never smelled anything like it. But there was all these, like, cows and horses and pigs.
Yeah.
But they were small and they just looked confused. Like, and they're all, like, just standing there just shitting continuously, just dropping shit.
Well, you're going to have smells at livestock shows.
I think the people smelled worse, though. Like, the shit was one thing, but some of the people that were, like, living there with the animals for the whole...
Are you dissing your fellow Kentuckians?
I always do. Everyone knows I hate it here.
Oh no.
I always do. I still get looks. I've been here a few years, and I still get looks like when I'm out, like I have 10 sprouting out of my head, and they just stare at me like I'm a freak.
Well, they have. I mean, the Kentucky Derby is like sort of the most highbrow animal event you can have in the world, you know. So
yeah, that was a disappointment too. When I went to do a tour of that, I have friends that drive up here, and they dragged me to do a tour of that. I finally did a tour of that. And so it's weird because it's in a really, really shitty area. The front is cool, it's pretty and stuff, but then when you go in and go through to the back, it is very, very old. But it's cool, but it's like, it's not what I expected.
You're talking about Churchill Downs?
Yeah. Yeah. I couldn't believe how close it was to me either, because it's like kind of hidden. It's like not in the best area, and it's really hidden.
So when you say the back of it, you mean like the back stretch, the stable areas?
No, more like the actual track.
The track itself?
Like it kind of needs a facelift or something.
Oh wow, okay. Well, I guess they dress it up with flowers once a year, right?
Yeah. Well, they don't really show that up close. They just show the front of it, and then just I don't know. But yeah, horses everywhere here. Yeah, well, I used to work in the summers at the racetracks, so I know. In fact, I used to work at the horse farms in Kentucky on just one summer. I worked at the breeding barns in Lexington. So, and it smells bad. Did you have to shovel all this shit, or?
Well, I got the worst of it because I was actually below stable boy. A vet's assistant is about the lowest job you can have in the horse farms.
I met you. I think I met you in Lexington at the Scarefest. That was my first ever convention. Up there,
the one in Lexington?
Yeah, that was my first one ever. Was that near like the where you worked when you were doing that?
Oh yeah. All the big fancy horse farms are all around Lexington. They're all owned by billionaires. I mean, it's a billionaire sport, and so because nobody can afford to own a racehorse, only people that we never see in real life that actually manage the world are the people who own racehorses.
Like the guy who won this year, but then they took it away from him because his horse tested positive for steroids, and they ended up just giving it to the second place winner.
Yeah,
but that guy won before. He's like fucking crazy.
Well, the trainer had won before, but I think the owner was a first-time owner, so that had to be like a major. That had to be a major disappointment for him because the trainer was Bob Baffert. I think he's won more races than anybody, more big races than anybody. But that's a big problem with. I mean, it's like those horses are so inbred over the past 700 years.
Like most people around here.
They're just bred for speed, and so they have all kinds of ailments that they try to deal with drugs, some legal, some illegal, and a lot of times the drug just is to mask the pain that the horse is in,
Yeah.
And so
and they probably shouldn't be racing because they're in so much pain, but they just
exactly.
Like, do all that.
No, exactly. It's like
I used to do sports, and I remember when I actually broke some bones, but it was an important competition, and they just it was like a fine line on what they let you take and not take. But they gave me something just to take away the pain, so I could still play, and I couldn't feel my fucking foot, and I made my whole it was worse after because of it. So I'm like, I thought this, don't race the fucking horse if it's injured.
Yeah, no, horse racing is a brutal sport. You shouldn't ever mask pain if you're going to do anything athletic.
I love the history behind the Derby, and I love seeing all the people wearing their, usually not this year, but usually they wear crazy pastel colors and suits and the big hats. And I like hearing about all the weird bourbon drinks and stuff, but I just hate the animal abuse behind it. But
yeah.
Like, can we
it's very 19th century in terms of all the rich people dress up and all the poor people spend their money on betting.
So how do they handle that? Because they had a winner, and then it wasn't for a few days or almost a week before they said, oh wait, no, he's not the winner, he tested positive, and now the second place person is going to be the first place. So do they wait to pay people out when they bet in case something like that happens, or how does that?
Boy, that's a good question, how they do the betting. That is a very good question.
You're there, you can money, but
you can cash your ticket. No, can't. You can't get your money because I don't know how the people that had money had win tickets on the second place horse. They're going to have to pay them somehow.
Yeah, that's right.
And I don't know, but the people that had the money on the first place horse already collected their money. Yeah. So it's bad news for Churchill Downs, however you slice it.
No one can answer that question. My friend knows some rich fucking asshole that apparently I met once. I don't remember who. They own some horses or have their hand in owning some fucking horses here and that. So I was like, ask them. But no one knows at all how.
No, that's a really good question because usually if there's a dispute about a race, they won't announce the result, and the judges will watch the video again and determine if anything bad happened. Because a lot of times a horse gets disqualified for moving out of its lane, or a jockey hits the other rider or something like that, and so the horse will get moved down one position or two positions, and so they'll adjust it, and then they'll announce the result. But on a thing like this, where it's drugs, I don't know what they do because it took several days to verify for sure that the horse was not clean, and so they've already paid off all those winning tickets. That's really bad for horse racing in a lot of ways.
Some of the people who bet on the second place winner that's now first, they're gonna want
their money. Oh, absolutely.
They'll be like lawsuits or something.
Absolutely. And on the Kentucky Derby, you have major betting, not just at the Louisville track. You have betting at off-track betting parlors all over the country. So
yeah, I wonder in Vegas too. I wonder how. Yeah. I want my money. I need to know.
That's a question for Quora. Do you ever ask a question to Quora?
No. Google. I actually tried. I hate those things that you ask Google or Siri or any of those stupid things. I tried at my friends, but it's kind of freaking. I guess the questions I ask, they just don't have any answers to.
Yeah.
No answer. So do you think, are you guys ever going to do another 24-hour marathon again? Or
24-hour marathon? Shudder's not big on the 24-hour marathons. They're not even big on the 4-movie marathons. And I don't know, the reason, they have data, that probably shows that people don't want to stay up all night, or people don't stay up all night, and so, why do it? I would love to do one. You know, I wish we could do one. Originally, I wanted to do a 3-day marathon. You know, do Labor Day weekend and just have nonstop horror the whole time and stay up the whole time. And that resulted in the 24-hour. That was a modified version of the original idea. And I think we call it the 24-hour marathon. I think it was more like 27 hour. I think it came out to 27 hours.
Yeah,
it was 13.
More.
It was 13 movies. I remember that. But I talked so much in a lot of the movies that 13 movies was more than 2 hours per movie. You know, even though the movie was just an hour and a half, but then I would talk for at least 30 minutes, and then, you know, then some of them were longer than that, and so I think it was about 27 hours.
Damn, boy!
And then now, I mean, we have a couple of movies where the time that I've talked is longer than the running time of the movie. I think on Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I think my talking was a longer running time than the running time of the movie. So nobody's complained about it yet. So
people
I don't really point it out.
So, yeah. Have you ever, like, are there some movies that you've tried to show that they're just like, no, they won't let you, or ones that you had to really fight for?
Yeah, I mean, they don't ever actually say absolutely not. They just kind of like say, you know, no, we'd rather not show that right now or whatever. So, like, I kind of want to show I Spit on Your Grave because a sequel came out, and it's, you know, it's the most popular commentary track of all the commentary tracks I've ever done. And I also did the commentary track on the sequel, and Mayor Zarki, the director, would be happy to come on the show, and so would Camille Keaton, the star of the movie, and maybe some of the other actors. And it is, and you know, it's just considered controversial, but that's why I want to show it, because I consider it an anti-rape movie and a pro-feminism movie, but but people regard it as somehow, you know, it got a reputation decades ago as bad, as, you know, because Siskel and Ebert said it should be censored. It should not even be seen. And
then just don't watch it. Then, like, why? I don't.
I know.
Don't censor shit. Just put a thing, slap a warning on it, and then you choose if you want to see it. We're adults. I mean, maybe.
But that's what makes it. That's what makes it interesting to me, that people got so upset about, you know, about a rape revenge movie. It wasn't even the first rape revenge movie. You know, there was an Ingmar Bergman movie that was similar. There was a Sam Peckinpah movie that was similar, and so I don't know why that one. They ruined that guy's career. He never really came back from it. So, but they don't really want to show that one. There's others that they don't want to show just because they are. Well, some are just not available. They're just, you can't get them. You can't get the rights to them. But there are some that you know, they're just not as excited about the title as I am. I don't. You never know. You never know why.
I do.
Do you remember a movie that just brought back this memory of this movie that I don't know why it really disturbed me, because it wasn't as graphic or anything as I Spit on Your Grave, but it had Naomi Watts in it. She was married with a kid, and these two guys, they hold them hostage in their house, and they do it to other neighbors too. and I like, like torture them and that, and do stuff to her in front of her kid and her husband and stuff. Do you know what movie that is?
I don't remember that movie.
It still disturbs me. That disturbed me. It wasn't too graphic or violent. It didn't show too much. It's kind of like PG-ish, or not PG, but it didn't really show that much. But it was so disturbing to me that.
Is it the one? Is it called? Is it? It's not The Strangers, is it? The Strangers.
Funny Games. It's called Funny Games.
That's a home invasion movie that is just very bleak, very bleak. Home invasion scenes are kind of the most terrifying scenes ever. You know who does them well? Lifetime Network.
Oh.
Some of the best exploitation films of recent years have been on Lifetime Network. It's just they know how to do it.
Yeah, those remind me of I'm obsessed with murder, true crime or whatever. Like there's this Dateline one on. It's on just regular TV every week, and a lot of them are like home invasion related. They're terrifying.
Oh yeah, I know.
Freak me out the most. And I've been broken into before when I've been home by myself. So it's like I shouldn't watch it because then my heart rate goes. I'm all jittery for weeks. I can't sleep. But I love watching that stuff.
Oh yeah, no, I'm a true crime fan myself, and there was one in Connecticut where I'm generally opposed to the death penalty, but there was these two guys in Connecticut that I've seen that a couple of true crime shows that reproduced their home invasion crime, and I was just like, there's some people that you just have to put them down like rabid dogs.
Yeah.
It's just like
because they're animals. Some people.
Yeah, it's like no one is safe as long as these guys are alive. That's and I'm not a death penalty advocate. I don't really think we should have the death penalty, but there's just some of these cases you see them and you say, well, how do we protect the world against these two guys? It's like even if you put them in prison, how do we protect the guards and the other prisoners? And so home invasion stories are the worst, man.
Yeah. Have you seen the it's not a home invasion, but there's another kind of crime. I think it's only 3 episodes. It's about the mob, in the 70s and 80s. It's new. It's just newish.
A new story about a new crime series about the mob?
Yeah, I think it's only 3 episodes, maybe, or 4.
No, I would definitely watch that, but there have been quite a few series about the mob. There's all those shows that are on like you mentioned, Dateline, and then there's Discovery ID channel, and then there's like a sort of remedial Discovery ID channel. I forget the name of it. It's like the Crime and Investigation channel. It's like for people who can't afford Discovery ID, Crime and Investigation channel, and they had a really old series about the mob that was really good, but it was done with the old style announcing and everything. I don't remember the name of it.
Yeah, I like this one because it shows so much old footage in New York in the 70s and 80s.
Yeah.
It's really interesting. And it made the FBI and the cops look stupid as fuck.
Oh yeah.
It was pretty funny. I'm so obsessed with that too, because when I was a kid, when growing up in Boston, I saw Whitey Bulger all over the place, and
you lived in Whitey's neighborhood?
I don't know, he used to go into little mom and pop shops, bought this little boxing. I think my brother took boxing there. I'm not sure if that's the place he took it, but he'd go in and demand you'd have whatever money, and you'd have to pay him weekly just because, or otherwise.
Oh, protection money. Yeah.
Yeah, burn your place down, kill your wife, whatever. But he was so nice. He was so nice to kids and stuff. It's funny. I loved him for so long when I was a kid, because every time I saw him, he was so nice, and I was like such a bitch. I remember I probably shouldn't be telling the story. But I remember he yelled once, she was being kind of mean, but so I remember feeling disappointed when they found him in Santa Monica, and I'm like, wait a second, he's bad. Just like what?
Yeah, no, a lot of people in New York that live in the old mob neighborhoods complain about, they say, look, they didn't pick up the trash again. Back in the days when the mob ran things, you just called up the mob and they would, and the trash would be gone in an hour.
They formed there was at least 6 families. They formed this thing called the commission, and they made up all these rules. So I guess all the mob families.
Yeah, the five families. In order to protect their profits, formed a cartel in the 50s, and they divided up the country. So that's why you had the family that ran New York, and the family that ran Philadelphia, and the family that ran Boston, and
it's crazy though.
I think there was one in Miami, and there was one in New Orleans, and it was like, I was in the movie Casino, and in the real story that Casino is based on, the hotel, it's based on the Stardust Hotel in Las Vegas, and the hotel was actually owned by the Kansas City mob, but of course, they were never known to be the owners. They had a guy, Lefty something, who was the
it's always like Lefty or
the nominal
Joe or
yeah, he was the nominal owner, and in those days corporations weren't allowed to own casinos because every owner had to be approved by the gaming commission.
The commission, yeah.
You had to have a background check on every owner. So corporations didn't qualify because it means you would have to do a background check on everyone who owned stock in the corporation. Thousands of people, so you couldn't do it. And so that means that if you could find one guy who could pass muster at the gaming commission, he had a clean record, didn't have any crimes, and he would become the front man for the various mob organizations that ran the casinos.
They're it was so crazy, all the 70s and 80s, their heyday, they own all with the unions, and then when they got into the construction, trash.
They own the unions, they own the waterfront, they own garbage collection, they own the casinos, completely owned the porn industry for years. Yeah.
That's crazy.
They didn't do drugs. They didn't do drugs so much. They did not do drugs. Some of them got into it, and they got killed as a result. They did, for some reason, they didn't want to do drugs. They would do almost anything else illegal.
Kill someone, that's fine, but no drugs.
Right.
Anyway.
Oh boy.
So what would you? All right, I'm kind of curious. This might be weird you out, but say you were woken up in the middle of the night and there's tons, 50 aliens or whatever around your bed, and you look out the windows, there's a ton of them, and they're all right, get up, and they give you 2 minutes, and you can grab just 3 things to take with you because they're gonna take you to wherever their planet. You only could grab 3 things. What would you what would you grab?
Oh my God. Oh my God. I think I would need.
You can never come back.
I think I would really.
Yeah.
I think I would need. I think I would need coffee, whiskey, and would they let me take my computer? It's would they have Wi-Fi? Would they have Wi-Fi on the alien planet?
No, they have a totally different system, so yours wouldn't work.
So the computer wouldn't work. So
no, computer phones wouldn't work because they're a whole different system.
So that's it's sort of the old, if you could only take one book, what would you take, you know? And it's like, I don't have a book that I love that much. So
yeah, exactly.
So
what kind of whiskey? What would be the whiskey?
I if I could have as much as I wanted, I would probably take take Wild Turkey.
Wild Turkey.
Yeah.
And what about what coffee? Are you particular to a certain brand or?
It would definitely be Colombian. It would be dark roast.
Do you drink it just straight or?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I don't get people who put a shit ton of crap in it. Like,
no. I probably you remember, like, there was this time, I don't know, was it in the 90s when people decided that coffee was unhealthy and you should stop drinking it, and
they
there was this
say
whole
everything's
thing
like
where
unhealthy, then it's healthy, then it's unhealthy, then it's
there
healthy.
was like this 10-year period where you were supposed to drink decaf and you shouldn't have coffee at all, and
I actually remember an aunt switching. She was addicted to soda. She was trying to get off cigarettes, and soda was her new thing. And she went to caffeine-free diet, whatever shit. She did Pepsi or Coke, I don't know. But yeah, I remember that. Everyone was like no caffeine.
Yeah, and then suddenly it becomes like a cool gourmet item, you know.
Oh,
it becomes hipster again.
It's so freaking hipster.
It's like I don't particularly like Starbucks because it's first of all, it's always crowded. You have to wait a long time. Secondly, they don't really do anything for you. They don't bring you the coffee. You have to go get the coffee, and then you have to wait on them to.
If you put
and then you have to wait for them to do it, and then there's never enough places to sit down.
It's so awkward waiting for it. It's awkward, and other people waiting for it. And then I hate giving my name, and then I call you names. I always give different names. Like I don't really drink coffee right now, but like I would say, like, you know, Penelope was the one I used to always use.
Yeah, but it's like the worst. It's like the worst customer service experience that has the best reputation of all coffee places. You know.
Yeah.
It's better to just like go to a diner and just order coffee. Someone will bring it to you and pour it and refill it.
Yeah. And at least pretend to, you know, try to be nice. I remember this old coffee shop I used to work at a long time ago in Massachusetts. Oh, New Hampshire, I can't fucking remember. It was like, it was old school. It was fun. It was fun to have like these weird characters sit there and you keep refilling and they tell you all their weird stories, and I don't know.
Yeah.
I think that's more fun than just like putting coffee in a cup. Here you go. What's your name? Okay, bye. Next person. What's your name?
Who do you miss Massachusetts? Is that where you want to live?
No, I mean, I was
you don't like
Boston.
Kentucky?
No, I was living out in California, but it just got too hard. It was just way bloody fucking too expensive, and it sucked. It's like, you guys, it's impossible.
Where do you live in? Los Angeles?
Well, first I was living in San Francisco in the Bay Area, going to school, and then I kept trying to go down to LA, but it just never stuck. It was just like, well, now the Bay Area, everywhere is too expensive in California now, but yeah, I lived there for a little bit. It's just fucking brutal. It's like so many fucking people, and just like everybody's trying to be fucking famous, and it's just like, I don't know, it's fucking annoying as hell to
Everybody's trying to be famous in LA or both places?
No, LA. The Bay Area wasn't like that, but in LA it was just ridiculous. Everybody, like, you go anywhere, even into a coffee shop, they have their laptops, they're writing a fucking screenplay or something. You overhear people working on monologues, and it's just like, oh, can you fucking just stop for like just like I don't know. I don't know. I don't.
Yeah.
It's like when I first went there, I thought everyone was so fucking just slow. They walk slow. They talk slow. I'd be trying to speed them up. Like, okay, like fucking, which was a good practice. That was good to go there first before I came here because like they're even fucking slower here.
Yeah, people in LA, they all want to talk to you. You know, it's like I lived out there for a year, and I couldn't get anything done because any place you go, it's an hour and a half. You know, it's like you can't get anywhere. And there's no parking when you get there, or the parking's $40 or something. Yep. And so it's like really frustrating place to live. You just like it's got all this space, and then you're discouraged from ever leaving your apartment. Because it's just too big of a problem to drive, and you have to drive, and it's miserable all the time.
Or you could be like me and walk or roller skate and then get followed. Every time I walked or roller skate or something to go to the, like if the like CVS was like 2 miles from my apartment, so I'm like, I'll walk. And I get fucking followed, and the guy like waits at the door for me when I come out, and I got followed so many fucking times.
Well, that's not good.
Weird. And then people look at you like you're a freak and would beep and yell if they see you walking.
Yeah, I used to walk in LA as much as I could, and I even used the mass transit there, which is not that bad.
Yeah, I've used that too.
But
the buses run really slow and bad, but the train and like if you go to the airport, there's like a shuttle train, like that was fine. But the buses, when I was trying to go to school and stuff, it was just hit and miss. They might not show up at all one day. The next day they're all over different times.
The problem is there's no center of anything. If you're like trying to work a job, it's like your appointment might be in North Hollywood, it might be in Century City, it might be in Santa Monica, it might be in downtown LA, and these places are vast distances apart, vast distances, and you add in heavy traffic, and it's like you're just like running all over the fucking planet trying to get to meetings, you know, or like, and I was still acting at the time, so you would have an audition. An audition would just be this address in you know, Culver City, and I
lived in Culver City briefly. Well,
really, you would have to find this place, and so you just spend all your time just driving all over the fuck, you know, so I wasn't crazy about it. I was kind of happy when I got the Monster Vision job and I was able to do something else. So,
I don't know if it's different now, but when I was there, it's just like, it was also very, I don't know, I just didn't have good experiences. Like I would get these opportunities that like, or these auditions, but it was creepy. And then they're like, oh, but you have to do this. And I'm like, fuck you, I'm not sucking your dick or this or that. I don't want the part that bad.
Oh, my God.
Bye. Or, like, show me your tits. And I'm like,
oh, my God.
Show me yours, you fat ball piece of shit. But I don't care. I don't want the job that bad. I'm not one of those type of people. I've been homeless, and then I think back on certain opportunities, and like, maybe I should have just fucked that guy, but then it's just not me. Like, I'd rather be fucking homeless. Like, I don't care. Like,
well, yeah, I mean,
with the wrong person, people. It was just so much of that. I was just like, I can't take it anymore. I have to fucking.
Well, being a guy, I didn't have the casting couch experience, but actually the very first day I was in LA, and I went to all these auditions, and I called the agent and said, hey, I think I got 4 jobs today. And I didn't realize that people are just very nice to you when they're trying to get rid of you. In LA. And so when they say, wow, that was great, that means get out of my office. And so I didn't understand the whole you know, everyone's smiling at you all the time in LA to tell you to leave.
Yeah. Yeah, I had a weird experience with this, like, really popular agency that repped some really good people. And, like, I was moving. It was, like, just, like, 2 days before I was moving, but my friend's like, you gotta call. You have to go in. Just go in. I'm like, but I'm moving. And so the day before, I was, like, hanging out with a couple of friends because I was leaving, and I don't do pot and stuff. I've tried it a few times. It never did anything to me. I'm just like, I don't get it. It's not doing anything. But my friend had really good stuff, and I didn't think it was doing anything to me. But I was fucking flying for a week. And so the next day, I was still, like, fucking high, and I go to this audition. I was seeing fucking bats flying over my head. I was so fucking out of it. I was just, like, reading this shit they gave me to read, and I'm, like, swatting at bats and jumping on the ground, hiding from the bats and shit. But, yeah,
What kind of drug was it?
It's supposedly just pot. It
was just weed?
Supposedly, yeah. But I don't do that, so, and I don't drink or anything.
Must have had something in it.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. Yeah, because I was so paranoid, and it was in me for like a week. But they were all being really sweet and nice and smiling. But I think they just wanted me the fuck out of there. But they were so nice. I was like, oh, wow, they're so nice. But it's just, they're fake. Have you ever thought of, like, if you weren't doing, like, a horror, like, showing horror, would you ever want to do, like, a marathon with, like, other types of movies, or
oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, I would be happy to. I mean, I like all the exploitation genres, you know. I like, you know, I don't know if you, did you see my redneck show when I was in Louisville?
The art sanctuary, yeah.
Yeah, I could do a marathon of redneck movies. You know? So yeah, but you know, there's no market for it. There's no place clamoring for hosted marathons right now.
That's like the best though, having it live and having a host, and then you stop it and talk about it. I mean, because if a network just put on like a marathon, I'm less likely to watch that than if you have it live and there's a host and they stop and they talk. That's like way more fun.
I've done that. I've done live hosted shows where we stop the movie, and actually I'm doing it this summer at the Mahoning Drive-In in Pennsylvania. We're having the Joe Bob's Drive-In Jamboree in July, and one night of it, we're going to reproduce a regular Last Drive-In show live, you know. And so that'll be cool to do it in the outdoors if it doesn't rain. We'll still
nice
do it.
And muggy for you.
Well, we'll still do it if it rains, but you know, we're prepared for everything. The only thing that can shut down a drive-in is fog.
Hurricane or
well, yeah, high wind that blows down the screen, but you can show movies through the rain, through the snow. You just can't show movies in fog, obviously. So.
So how many more are you guys gonna go straight through the summer, or are you gonna be taking a break with Shudder so you can do?
Well, we're going to do our usual season, and then we'll do some specials later in the year, and then we'll, you know, hopefully we'll come back for another season. But I don't understand the rhyme or reason to when we're on and when we're not on. But
are you gonna be? Do you know if you're going to be throughout the summer? Is it?
I'm not sure. I mean, and I'm also not allowed to tell, even if I know. They don't like They like everything to be a surprise. So.
But did you guys at least know how many shoot at a time, or do they keep that from you?
Yeah, but I'm not supposed to talk about that either.
But you can't tell that. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a like I have a very iconic guest coming up this week, and I think we're going to announce the guest in advance, but I'm not sure. But I think we're going to announce the guest in advance. Usually we don't announce anything in advance, but
yeah.
But in this case, I think we're going to announce in advance because guest is so famous. So. If I was doing it, I would just tell everyone everything, but I can't do it.
Yeah, it's hard sometimes to keep that quiet.
Yeah.
But usually it's more of an impact if you can keep it quiet.
I think the marketing philosophy is that it's just like when movies come out. You know, all the publicity is in that 1 week before the movie. You know, like if the movie comes out on Friday, they do a big thing on the Sunday before the Friday, and then they do ads all during the week, and then and then boom, it comes out on Friday, and they hope that, you know, they've built up all this critical mass of support for it. And so I think that's the theory of waiting on the marketing for last drive-in shows.
Did you guys, when you guys had Jeffrey Combs on last week, right? Was that I can't remember if you guys announced that or if that was a surprise.
Where last week's show?
Yeah. Was it last week with Jeffrey Combs? I mean,
with Jeffrey Combs? Two weeks ago with Jeffrey Combs?
Yeah.
We didn't. Jeffrey announced it. Jeffrey.
I thought so. Okay,
Jeffrey,
I thought so. That's what I found out about it.
Jeffrey put on a cowboy hat and did his best. Did his best Arkansas accent because he has all these family members from Arkansas.
Yeah, I was wondering what accent that was, what he was trying to do.
Well, I had been sort of, several years back there was a horror convention in Little Rock, Arkansas, and I was there, and Jeffrey was there, and all of Jeffrey's extended family and cousins and came down from the Ozarks to be at the convention. And so I'm meeting these people, and it's just not connecting that this is the family of Jeffrey Combs. It's just, it didn't make sense to me that these people, that these Ozarks people were Jeffrey Combs' family. And so but sure enough, he came over to the table and he said, Joe Bob, good to see you. And I said, Jeffrey, this is your family? And he was like, oh yeah, all of it. He grew up in California, but his parents came from Arkansas. And so.
He never lived there though when he was a kid?
No, he never lived there. He grew up in, or maybe when he was 2 years old or something. But he grew up in Lompoc, California. But
where is that, near LA or?
It's about halfway up the coast between LA and San Francisco. It's where the big what do you call it? Space launch place is.
Okay.
The military, where they launch military rockets.
Okay.
I forget, and it's also where the prison for the insane is. Prison for the mentally ill. And I only know that because I've gotten so many letters from them.
Nice. Hey, you should give a little tour there.
Oh man, I got a letter from that guy that killed a sitcom actress back in the 90s, or maybe the 80s. and I'm blanking on her name, but he killed a famous. He stalked her, went to her house. She opened the door. He shot her, and so Robert. I remember his name. Robert Bardo is his name. And so he went to. I think he got a life term, and then apparently he was not all there mentally, so he got sent to the mental prison at Lompoc and everything. And so he starts writing me fan mail, and so I called the district attorney's office in L.A. and said, should this guy really be allowed to write to people on TV when he shot? You know, he's in prison for killing somebody on TV, and Marcia. Turns out Marcia Clark was the person that put him in prison, and so she said, "Oh, I will take care of that immediately." And so she like stopped his correspondence privileges because I was thinking, you know,
weird.
I didn't really feel threatened. I didn't really feel like he would do anything to me, even if he was out or able to do anything to me. But I thought, you know, if he's writing to me, he's probably writing to other people that are on TV, and obviously he develops these fixations, and so this is just not healthy. Because what if he does get out? You know, so
would he ever get out if he's mentally off?
I don't.
Killed someone?
No, first of all, it's like if you go in, if you're judged insane. If you're judged not guilty by reason of insanity, you're never getting out. That's actually better than just getting a normal life term.
Yeah. You can potentially get out.
Yeah, even a life term, you can eventually get the end of your term shortened. But it would have been better if they just said he's crazy. And found him not guilty by reason of insanity, because then you go to the high security lunatic unit. They don't call it the lunatic unit, but you go to the high security unit, and then doctors have to evaluate you. A panel of doctors evaluate you every 6 months, and they never let you out. If you've done a violent crime, those doctors will never let you out. And so, but juries rarely do the not guilty by reason of insanity. They will rarely find that, and therefore we're not as safe as we could be if they did that. If they did that more often, you know, that's what happened to Ed Gein. You know, the character that the real guy that Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Psycho were based on. He was found not guilty by reason of insanity. He went to the Wisconsin Institute for the Criminally Insane and spent the rest of his life there. And, you know, that's where he should have been.
Should be, yeah. Some of these people, and I with these true crime shows I'm watching, like a lot of them get out after doing something so heinous. I'm like, how would they ever get out of jail? And then they do even worse after they get out. And I'm like, what the fuck? It drives me nuts.
Yeah.
Like some of the stuff that they do is so sick, and I'm like, they only did a few years. I'm like, what the fuck is that? And then of course they do even worse when they come out.
Yeah.
They're crazy. If you do that kind of thing, there's something not right with your head.
Yeah, it's not really, the system is not really based on, the system is based on lawyering, you know.
Yeah.
The same guy, two guys doing the same crime with the same set of circumstances, both of them found guilty. One gets life without parole and one gets just 20 years. Well, that's a huge difference. That's a huge difference, and that difference is lawyering. The difference in the legal representation of those two guys.
Yeah, my brother's a criminal lawyer, so I'm often disgusted by him. I'm like, why are you representing that person? You suck.
Oh my God. I'm actually amazed how many of these guys confess on these true crime shows. Especially on that show, The First 48. They'll get the guy in the room and be nice to him and give him a cigarette and a Coke.
Candy.
and before you know it, he's said 24 incriminating things, and whoops, life without parole. When what he should have done is lawyered up from the moment he entered the police station.
I can't believe when they start talking. Like, I've seen ones where the person just starts talking without a lawyer, but they end up not being guilty, but they do jail time because they're so nuts and they don't get a lawyer and they talk too much to the cops.
I think a lot of them don't understand the concept of getting a lawyer. They think that
only if you're guilty.
Well, first of all, they think that they have to have money to get a lawyer, which they don't.
You don't. Yeah.
And then they think that whatever getting a lawyer entails, it's more complicated than what they can do, and of course the police are reinforcing that because they want the guy to sit there and continue to talk, and I really think those interrogations and in a police interrogation, you're allowed to lie to the guy. You're allowed to say.
I was going to say that they're allowed to lie to him, but there's a couple of states that recently passed some law where now then technically they're not allowed to do that, but I'm sure they still do it. But
well,
that's
for example, you're allowed to say, like, maybe you have no evidence on this guy, but what you can say is, well, we've got your fingerprints at the scene.
Yeah.
And you don't have his fingerprints at the scene.
Yeah.
But you want him to think that you do, and so that he'll change his story and incriminate himself. And
I just don't understand. Like, I've seen a lot of these interrogations where I feel like the cops just want to get anybody behind bars. They don't care if it's the right person. They don't care if that evil, dangerous fucker is still out there.
Yeah, I wouldn't go that far, but I would say that they will do anything to get him behind bars once they have a strong suspicion that that's the guy. I mean, but I mean, it just kills me those cases where the guys go to jail for 10 years and they didn't do it.
Yeah, I know
those just really kill me. I mean, it's
there was a guy in Mississippi that was in jail for like almost 30-something years that just got released because now they have the DNA that they didn't back then.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Oh, I saw that.
Pissed. I almost broke something. I was so fucking pissed. I'm like that.
And the guys come out. And the guys come out of prison and they're not even mad. They're just so grateful to be out of prison. Yeah. And it's like, I wonder if they must get mad later. But
they have to get mad.
They come out of prison and they're just like,
your whole life.
Oh my God, you know.
Now they're out, they're old, they have no skills. They got taken in when they were like 18, 19 or a teenager or 20 and what the fuck are they going to do now? It's like, and they couldn't, I don't know, it's just, and then some states are protected where you can't sue them. And so he didn't get anything from the state for doing that. I saw another one where some guy got a few million, but certain states are protected. And I'm like, that's
so crazy. I mean, no. The guys that put him in prison ought to be liable for it.
Yeah, I feel like they owe him. Like, that's just, at least they didn't fucking execute him.
Yeah.
Because, like, there's been people executed that are innocent, and they found out after they've long past executed them.
Oh, yeah, that drives me crazy, too. That's why I'm opposed to the death penalty, even though I see all kinds of guys that ought to get the death penalty, but I'm like, but it's like, we're too flawed to it's the system is too flawed to be killing people, you know? Mm-hmm. I mean, you can't reverse that. You can't fix that. There's no amount of money that can fix that.
Yeah. So it's weird how many people around here, they're so fucking like, they're like pro-life, but then they're for the death penalty, and you can't talk to them. I'm like, well, then you're a hypocrite. That doesn't make sense. I'm like, they're just like, it's just so weird to me. I'm like, Well,
you're in Mitch McConnell's country. So
I fucking hate that guy. I've seen him out when my friends have to hold me down. I'm like, I fucking hate him. And like my friend had to deal with it at his work a couple times, and but like he sounds like he has a mouthful of cum, and he's like he mumbles. You can't understand him. I'm like, you're rich as fuck. Can't you get like a speech therapist or something? Like, I hate him so much.
Well, you know, historically, one of the most liberal newspapers in the country was the Louisville Courier-Journal. I don't know if that's still true, but because I think the original family sold it. But it was always interesting to me that in one of the most conservative states in the country, they had one of the most liberal newspapers. And a lot of famous journalists came out of that paper too. It was well respected.
Writers here. Yeah, it's a weird place because I'm like, I grew up in Boston. I lived a big chunk of my life, you know, in the Bay Area and a little bit in LA. So like I'm like more European mentality and more like, I don't know. It was quite a shock when I first came here. But like everyone's a giant hypocrite here. It's the weirdest fucking place. They'll be talking about God, preaching about God, and like I'm pro-choice, and I'm like, shut the fuck up. If you don't want to take birth control, don't take it, or you don't want abortion, don't have one. But you can't force it on other people. And they always say this religion bullshit. But then they're dressed like this, like with the ass cheeks hanging out, and like even if they're 500 pounds, and like talking about church, and like they go to church all the time, but then they're like also really mean, bitter, jealous kind of people. And it's just like such a weird, it's just so mind fucking because it's like they're just hypocrites. It's just like the weirdest thing. I get like a lot of like shit towards me, and I'm like, I'm not like, I don't get it because I'm like, I don't like attention on me when I go out, so I try to like blend in the background, but I seem to get a lot of shit, and I'm like, well, it's just weird. I don't, weird place.
Yeah. Well, one thing we try to do at the Last Drive-In is we try to unite the divisions in the country, and some of the stuff that you're talking about is, red state, blue state stuff, and conservative liberal stuff, but it kind of goes deeper into the culture too, and it's I don't know what the solution to it is, because like even in my own family, there are like things that are just not talked about. Not talked about. My family's in Arkansas. It's just things that are not talked about because, because some people vote for one guy and some people vote for the other guy. And it's like, it's just a time when you don't talk about politics. You don't talk about politics, and you don't talk about religion. And, it shouldn't be that way. It should not be that way.
People go from 0 to like 1 billion when they talk about religion. It's like their self-righteousness and anger, and it's weird.
We've been a puritanical country for 400 years, but I thought, like in the past, I've been amazed that the youngest generation is the most puritanical today in terms of telling other people how to live and what to do and what to say and what not to say. Yeah. And my generation, which is the baby boomers, we're eternal children. We just believe that we should do whatever we want, and everyone else should do whatever they want, and everyone should be allowed to say whatever they want to say. And
exactly.
And so that's why, and so that's why the younger generation thinks we're silly. We're just silly because we're just and I still believe that people. I still believe that any kind of suppression of free speech. You can't be for free speech and say, well, I'm for free speech except these bigots over here. I don't think they should be allowed to say what they want to say. You have to let the bigots speak. You have to let everybody speak.
Everybody,
And you can't like cut off. You can't like cut off access to the public square because somebody's going to say vile stuff.
Yeah.
That's
a slippery slope.
But that's considered an old-fashioned point of view now. That used to be considered classic liberalism. You know, everybody gets to speak.
Everything has changed.
That's now considered an outdated, old fart opinion, and so.
But it's gone too far. If people don't like your position on anything, even the way you fucking eat, they come after you and try to so-called cancel you. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, why can't everyone just like do what they want to do in regards to like religion or politics or whatever? Just shut the fuck up about it. Like, I don't care. I don't want to hear about it. Like, I just don't understand why people can't just shut the fuck up.
Yeah, well, I'm on your side, but I would say, you know, we got to get to a place where you can just talk about it without
getting so emotional and angry,
without going ballistic, you know.
Yeah.
And so I don't know what. So one thing we try to do, I've noticed, like when I do my live shows, most of my live shows are in red states, but it's blue state people. It's blue state people in red states. Okay.
Yeah.
So blue state people who live in red states, they understand.
Because the blue states are too expensive. That's why. I wouldn't be here otherwise.
Well, they understand that you have to get along. You have to get along with everyone. It's impossible to surround yourself with people that are just like you. So you have to get along.
But it's also boring if everyone's like you with the same opinion, you know?
And so one thing we try to do on the last drive-in is to say, everybody calm down. Everybody, you know, it's like we don't go so far as to say let's sing Kumbaya, but it's sort of like okay, we're gonna try to move towards a group hug. We're all Americans, right? Can we agree on that much? We are all Americans. Okay. Let's start with that.
I'm not, though. I'm actually an alien. So.
Well, actually, you said earlier you're more of a European than an American. So.
Well, that's like how I was raised. Like everything is more that. So I've always kind of stuck it out. But yeah, I can't discern people I can't talk to about certain stuff because they can't have a calm conversation or exchange. They just go from 0 to 1 billion crazy like in half a second. It's so weird. It's the weirdest thing. I'm just like, okay, maybe someone should take some chill pills.
I'll tell you. I mean, I'm not saying anything original here, but one of the things that happens with the internet is like I grew up in journalism, and so I was always aware of the angry letters and the fringe opinions and everything. The difference today is the weird, angry fringe opinion, like the opinions in QAnon. For example, QAnon believes that Hillary Clinton is dead. She died 8 months ago, but everyone is covering it up. You know, things like that.
Unless it's really her in disguise hiding out.
The difference today is that you can just publish that and have it circulated in a viral way. But
I don't understand the mentality of people that buy into that. It's like, how dumb are you? Like, no IQ? Like, I don't get it.
You know, people. A lot of people cannot tell the difference between the Louisville Courier-Journal or the Dallas Morning News on the one hand, and the QAnon Daily Report on the other hand.
I don't understand people like that.
There are all these websites that pretend to be news gathering operations that are actually just
bullshit.
and a lot of people cannot cannot tell the difference. It's
I don't know what the fuck's wrong with them if they can't.
And they're pretty good. They're pretty good at disguising what they actually are, also. And so it's
but some of
there have always been there have always been things like that. There have always been pamphlets and weird political pamphlets and the John Birch Society and people that believe that the aliens the aliens are living in Hungary and because have you heard that theory?
We're definitely not there.
Because the Hungarian language is not related to any other language, so it must have been brought from some other planet. Anyway, it's very easy. It's very easy to spread disinformation, and so to some extent,
smart enough to be able to filter and do their own research.
But I don't know.
Read a bunch of different stuff.
I read a lot of the testimony of people who were at the riots at the Capitol on January 6th, and there were so many of them that obviously believed strongly in the disinformation news that they had received.
Yeah, it's weird.
They really believed it. I mean, I mean, it's one thing. It's one thing when people, consciously avoid the truth, but it's another thing when they're just ignorant and misinformed, and so they have a version of reality that they truly think is reality, and how the press doesn't do itself any favors when it just publishes opinion pieces all the time instead of doing cold hard reporting.
There's not much of that anymore. I feel like there's
hardly any of it. There's hardly any of it.
I hate that.
And I'll give you an example. When the election, the day after the election, Trump said he was going to challenge the election, and the mainstream press immediately said he has all these baseless claims, and they used the word baseless. Well, that's not the way to report that story. The way you report that story is you say, Trump made these claims. You just say, Trump made these claims, and then you wait a week for the judge to say they're baseless.
Yeah, and
you don't say they're... You don't just immediately say they're baseless,
Yeah, and the thing that they don't do anymore is, as a journalist, Matt, you're supposed to keep your opinion out of it and just report, the facts.
Right. And they don't do that, and so they give strength to the other side, and they give strength to these publications that aren't real publications that are spreading the misinformation. So we live in a strange world of factoids everywhere.
That buy into it. I still can't wrap my brain around what it's like in their brain. I just can't.
Well, they just think one news source is as good as another, and so they don't distinguish between the
I feel like
between the fake ones and the real ones.
People we could just knock off. Too many people in our country just let's just push those people out into the water or something.
No, we can't do that.
Or the other people. I don't like extreme on
we have to pull them out of ignorance. No, you have to think of it in a different way. You have to pull them towards. You have to pull them towards
can we
a meeting of the mind.
Electroshock them?
No, we're not going to do that. No.
Can we shoot them up with some drugs?
No, we're not going to do that. Because many of them are our family members.
No, me too. I can't talk to my family. I haven't talked to them on the phone for a long time. They're fucking batshit banana crazy nuts. They can't have that normal conversation. I even told them, I'm like, okay, we can't talk about politics or religion. But, shut the fuck up. She cannot not bring it up. And she thinks she's so smart. And I'm just like, And
no, I'm with you. I understand, but it's still okay. We have to move towards more information.
It's just weird because I know a couple of people, whether they're lawyers or doctors or whatever the fuck, and they're also believing this dumb shit. And I'm like, what the fuck? It's not just kind of ignorant or you think only certain kind of people would believe it, but
well, there's two reasons for it. First of all, we pay people for internet hits.
Yeah.
When you hit a headline, you see a headline and you hit it. You know.
You have to get.
We pay people for that. That's worth money. And then the second thing is, the people that own websites are not legally liable for what they print. And so, whereas the New York Times is legally liable, they can be sued. Yeah. But if you own a website and somebody posts falsehoods on it, you're not liable because of a 1996 law that was passed by Congress. And so, both of those things are bad. They are bad for truth.
But, don't you, anything I read, whether it's online or print, I read and think, I don't take it as fact. And I'll go look and read a bunch of stuff. I'll look up stuff, do my own research. I don't just, read something. And even if it's from a legit publication, I don't automatically, okay, that's the truth, I just don't understand that, I don't know. Just like the drinking bleach shit, people actually believe when Orange Man said, or more like Hepatitis Man, he's looking saying drinking bleach and doing all this weird shit. People actually I know people who actually believe that shit, and I forget what else he said, but they believe the craziest shit that I'm I think even a 3-year-old wouldn't believe. That I don't know. I just never gonna be able to understand some these people. There's certain stuff that's just so outlandish that I'm I just don't believe that people actually believe. It's
I hear you. Yeah.
Okay. I feel if I told them to go jump off the bridge and then they'll automatically go to heaven, or some crazy, they make up some crazy story, they just do it. Here you go, put these needles in your eyeballs. It will, whatever I make up, and they'll do it. Okay. It's frustrating, though, when people deny the facts. I can't even, that's just weird to me. I'm just I don't know. I was hoping it will, people will start to calm down a little bit. Oh. So you're in Jersey still right now, or
New York? Yeah.
Oh, you're in New York. Yeah. So have you been there for the majority of this quarantine, or?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I moved around quite a bit because I did some the things that were open. I had COVID pretty early. And so I had antibodies, and so I went ahead and did some cons and other events. Okay. So I haven't stayed only in New York.
Okay. So is it because I would imagine New York was way more intense being there than say Texas or Florida or even over here?
Well, not really. I mean, New York started wearing the masks pretty early, and everyone still wears a mask in New York, and
just more restrictions, I guess. More.
Yeah, I've never seen that. I mean, they built these little wooden platforms out on the streets so the restaurants could have socially distanced dining, and so we have these wooden platforms all over the neighborhood.
Oh, okay.
So sidewalk cafes year round.
Cool.
But it hasn't been much different wherever you are. Actually, the place that seemed most locked down over the past year was Los Angeles. I mean, everything big was closed, including major hotels, the theme parks, the downtown LA was ghost town, much more so than New York.
Yeah, I know we had things open here before LA, or California. And my friends are like, "What the hell? You get to go do that?" I was like, okay.
And then Florida never really closed. I did 2 or 3 events in Florida.
Okay.
So.
Goodness. Yeah, I remember seeing like videos on that, like during spring break and all that, and it was just like insane. My mom even said that she was down there and it was just like crowded, and yeah, she's like, she doesn't worry about it. I think she wears a mask when they make you go into places, but they just, yes, they still went and did, everything was open. Still, I don't think anything really closed, like here.
Yeah. Well, the theme parks closed in Orlando, but then they reopened pretty early. Yeah.
Are they full capacity yet, or probably not?
No, they're approaching it though. They're about to be full capacity, I think.
I'm going to Disney World.
So wait, are you still doing your what you did at the art sanctuary? Have you been doing that this year, or has that pretty much been canceled because of COVID? Or
How Redneck Saved Hollywood? I did it one time. I've done it twice since I did it in Louisville. I think I did it in Louisville on February 29th, and then I did a show in Huntington, Long Island on March 9th or something like that.
Okay.
If it had been March 10th, I think the show would have been canceled. You know, it was like right at the time when people were going nuts.
Yeah.
And so it was probably the last show done before COVID hit. And then the Florida Film Festival did not cancel any of their events.
Oh, wow.
And so in August, we did a socially distanced show at the Enzian Theater in Orlando. But I haven't done it since then. The first time I'm going to do it again is this summer, July. I'm going to go out on the road again. So, so if you're listening to this and you want to give me some venues, I'll call them and try to book them.
Come back to Louisville.
I think everyone saw me in Louisville. That was a big crowd.
Crowded, yeah.
That was a huge crowd in Louisville. Yeah.
That was the first time I've been. I didn't even know that place existed. The art sanctuary.
Yeah, it was a great venue.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But if you had to choose, this is a little weird question, but if you had to choose between having your mouth located like around where your belly button is, or your nose located on the left foot between the first and the second toe.
What?
Which one?
I don't even know what that means.
Like if your mouth, like it can be on your face, it had to be either on your belly button, or your nose had to be placed on your left foot between your first and second toe. You had to pick one of those
I think
options.
the first one.
Having your mouth on where your belly button is?
Uh-huh.
Okay. That tells me a lot about people. Like when I don't know. That's the one I would choose, is have my mouth. No, belly button. A little weird. Sorry.
I'm creeped out.
All right. So you're doing the Shudder, and then you're going back on the road in the summer.
Mhm. And we're doing the Driving Jamboree in July.
In July.
July 16th through 18th at Mahoning Drive-In in Pennsylvania. Yeah.
You guys gonna come do one here or at the drive? We have oh God, I can't remember the name of it now. Holy crap.
It's taken almost a year just to plan this one, so.
Oh shit. That's crazy. All right.
That's a long time.
Well, thank you for doing this.
All right. Well, thank you.
It just started as crazy. Like my worst fear is like my anxiety. I've got anxiety, and like talking on the phone is like my worst fear. Like I don't. So I'm like, I'm hoping doing this will help me get better at it and not help my anxiety.
Well, I hope so too, and you can expand the Groovy Ghoul empire.
Yeah.
And beyond books and and publications and
I always wanted to like old school, like listen to like people have a conversation, like but I just didn't want it to be me because I can't listen to myself. But like I don't know. So I know.
Okay, well you did good.
So I'm working out the kinks still. You're like the second one. I've like another 2 coming up this week too. But so hopefully I'll work out some of those kinks. But
okay, great.
It was fun though. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, hopefully you guys come back. You and Darcy come back here.
Okay.
You've been listening to Groovy Ghoul, the podcast with Groovy Witch 666. Special thanks to our guest, Joe Bob Briggs from the Last Drive-In. And remember, don't go to sleep.